Just, I had to squeeze that in. I always say something just right before we go live, just because I like people laughing when we start. Hey, Craig Martelle here, coming to you live from the subarctic where it is still dark because it gets dark now. We went 3 months without the sun setting, so it's always, even at 4 in the morning, it's still light out. Today we have David Kelly, the general manager of SendFox. Where are you coming to us from, David?
Well, good morning to you, Craig. Very good morning to you. That's quite early over there. I am coming to you live from New Hampshire, actually, upstate New Hampshire. Normally I'm in San Diego, but it is a pleasure to be here, pleasure to talk to you, and a pleasure to talk to everyone tuning in.
And for today's show, hopefully, let me kill this thing. On the side of our screens, you'll be able to see links pop up as people are online with us. And
Nice.
I thought you were really taking one from the team because I thought you were in California and that you were going to get up at 7 and be ready to go. Here, it's 10 in the morning. You're like ready for lunch.
Yeah, that's the truth, Craig. And I will say I come back and see my family twice a year in New Hampshire, and everything is easier on the East Coast. It's like I'm up and halfway done with work by the time I'm normally online. So there's something to be said for working in a specific time zone.
Yeah. I'm curious because we don't have anybody pop. Usually there's somebody that pops up right away saying, hey, good morning, guys. I'm not sure so I may have to stop this and we'll restart. Oh, hey, there we go.
No
hey,
worries.
we got somebody.
Oh, hey.
All right, so we are live. Because before where we talked for like 10 minutes, like, hey, nobody's coming. And people are, where are you? So anyway, look, we have our first. So we're live. SendFox, yes, SendFox user. I am an avid SendFox user now, and if you can, please talk to us about the process of when somebody uses a newsletter service like SendFox. What do you get for data in regards to sending that newsletter? What does that look like from your end?
From the end of SendFox specifically, or if I'm a sender, like a customer?
Yes. Because you calculate open rates and stuff like that, and what exactly we don't understand is how does all of that work?
Yeah.
What's the behind the scenes of, hey, when somebody says, hey, I have 50% open rate, what the hell does that really mean from SendFox's perspective?
This is a really good question, and it's so cool, by the way, to see all the people chatting. Hello to everyone. I see there's someone from New Hampshire. I see there's a few SendFox users. Justin, great to see you. So what I think is really interesting at a high level, Craig, and we'll talk about this for a minute, is just email metrics in general, right? So there are, of course, a common email metrics. You have open rate and click rate, which a lot of people use in the industry. And the way we identify the open and click rate is open rate basically tells us how engaged is our email list based on them wanting to open an email. So maybe that's pertinent to the subject line. Maybe that's pertinent to the list. There's probably a few things that are involved with that. And click rate tells us how engaged the people are with the content. So if we think of email marketing like a lot of different marketing channels as a funnel, you can think of the open rate being the top of funnel. How engaged is my list? How interested is my list? And then you can think of click rate more as the bottom of the funnel. You have people that are interested at the high level of what you're teaching. Are they interested in clicking through and understanding that specific content? And there are also some other key metrics that we monitor, we suggest a lot of senders monitor, which is unsubscribe rate and bounce rate. And that tells me as a sender, how clean is my list? Am I making sure to properly engage my list often enough that people are clicking through and interacting and not going dormant? Am I making sure that I'm getting quality leads, that I'm not buying lists, that I'm not scraping lists, that I'm not borrowing lists? And those 4 key metrics really tell us quite a bit about not only an email list, but also about the business in general.
That is great. On the open rate, how can you tell that somebody has opened an email?
So the way we tell, and this gets into some of the technicalities of how email tools are built, but this is universally how most email tools tell it. So in every email, there's typically a small pixel. It's actually like a 1x1 pixel. And it identifies when a person opens the email. So if that pixel gets discovered, is probably the best way to use terminology there. If it gets discovered, meaning it gets triggered when someone opens the email, then our system identifies, hey, a person opened this email. And we send it right back in the stats so that people can understand that it was opened.
Okay. So if somebody only reads emails in the viewing pane, those generally don't trigger that pixel.
It depends on the email tool. And what we do and a few other tools do as well is also there are some ad blockers that people use that can block those tracking pixels. And in instances like that, and I think this is really important to emphasize, especially as people use more ad blockers, we will also track that if someone clicks a link in the email, we'll also assume, rightfully so, that they opened the email, and we'll make sure it counts towards the open rate.
Great. Now, you talked about the ways to get an email to open. You mentioned subject line as well as content. I'd like to think that my super fans, when they see an email from me, they open it because of the from the sender. Subject line, how much importance can you give to subject line, and what are some words to avoid in your subject line?
This is another really fun question. And the reason why we created SendFox, and good morning to everyone else, by the way, we're getting a lot of nice good morning messages. So good to see everyone. The reason why we created SendFox was because we are email marketers. So my entire marketing background is predicated on email. That's really kind of my first marketing love. Everything stems from there. So with subject lines specifically, we think of a few things. One is there are some free tools out there. SendCheckit.com is one of them that allows you to check subject lines. When I think of subject lines, which I also generally use the same principle for thinking of email copy, I'm always trying to think of what is my customer thinking, or what is my prospect thinking, or what is my lead thinking? And it sounds like a really, really simple idea or principle that everyone thinks of. But as part of that, I'm always thinking about how can I meet my subscriber where they are? So let's say my subscriber's really busy and they're checking their phone and they're running around, they're in the bathroom, they're trying to look at all their emails at the same time. So my thought process is, how can I get them to open? How can I get them and encourage them to click this email, open this email over all the other emails?
So SendCheckit. Can somebody post that in the comments, please? And just so we have it there with this thread, because that's great. And what are they looking for when they check that subject line?
They look for a few things, and it's not perfect. I think that's the thing that's really important to remember about tools. And we use a lot of tools for our email marketing. We use SendCheckit, we use Is Not Spam, we use Mail Tester, we use a few different other things. But with SendCheckit specifically, and I think a lot of these tools, what it helps us understand is, generally speaking, the broad strokes of email marketing. So it'll look for certain trigger words that could potentially cause an email to go into spam. It'll look for certain phrases that maybe are viewed too promotional and cause issues. SendCheckit.com. Yep, you guys got it in the chat. That's perfect. No affiliation with them. We use it ourselves. We're email marketers, so we kind of check it out ourselves.
So put that checkbook away. There's more. Might not necessarily be a great subject line.
Exactly.
Unless you're targeting septuagenarians.
That's right.
Checkbook anymore. Within the body.
Yeah.
What do you presume people will see in their preview pane based on the majority of email systems that people use?
Yep. So the way the preview pane typically works for these emails is, Is Not Spam is another one. Thank you to who posted that. And as a quick note on Is Not Spam, and this also can apply to what we're talking about right now, Craig, with the reading pane. One of the things we want to avoid with email marketing, one of the things I personally try to avoid when I'm sending emails to people, is avoiding the spam filter. And something that's really critical that a lot of people don't understand now is, back in the day, avoiding the spam filter was just avoiding certain trigger words. So it's like, just don't mention free, don't mention money, don't mention anything illicit, and you're good. And there still is a lot of truth to that. And that's what tools like SendCheckIt can help with, or understanding just good copywriting principles. But what's also really important nowadays with emails, especially with Gmail, which controls about 60 to 70% of the inbox market, depending on your list, but that's typically what we see with our statistics, is they look also at engagement. And that's a really interesting thing to do. So you think about engagement with emails. If people are opening your emails because you have a clean list, because you're emailing regularly, but not too often, if you are making sure that your quality content is being promoted versus just a bunch of crap, for lack of a better word, then you will be rewarded. On the other hand, Gmail is now identifying people who are sending too often to bad subscribers that are bouncing, or sending too often to people who aren't opening, or using bad subject lines. So when we think about just kind of the machines getting smarter and the AI for a lot of tools getting smarter, that also includes Gmail, and that also includes email marketing.
Great points there. Great points. Gmail. I actually always encourage my users to, hey, if you have a different email than Gmail, because they on Mailchimp they put me in the doghouse. Seriously, so I increased rate. I was down to, like a 4% open rate and a click rate of 0.3, and I'm paying for a list of 8,000 people on a click rate of 0.3%. That was a non-starter. I click over to SendFox, and immediately was 40 to 50% open rate, a click rate of up north of 20%, and it was like it's money in the bank, because I'm going from 18 people clicking out of a list of 8,000 to thousands, and it made such a significant difference. And that's something that, as people bounce around, whether they use MailerLite or Opera, or a variety of the other systems out there, engaging. So I put a thread together, and I have a list of 17 points that people asked for SendFox that I'll forward to you as soon as we're done. Allowing embedding surveys, because one way we increase our reader engagement is by having a survey. Pick your favorite sci-fi book of these three, or hey, what do you want me included in the next novel, or something like that. And being able to embed a survey within SendFox would be a great tool to increase that engagement.
Yes, I agree. And thank you for saying that, Craig. That's really, that's nice to hear with the open rate. And I see someone else mentioned good open rates too. So glad to do that. And there is one question I just want to answer quickly. So how often is too often? How often is regular? And I think this was specific to the cadence of emailing. And this is a really, really good question, because like a lot of things in marketing, there isn't a hard or fast rule, right? And we see a lot of things, and I've done a lot of marketing. We see a lot of blog posts out there that's like the 10 tricks that you must do. And a lot of those people have never done marketing or have never done it at a very high level. So we have to be careful with the content we consume. So the answer to this question is going to be a little ambiguous. And my encouragement for this is typically 1 to 2 times a week is what we see for a relatively successful cadence for most people with emailing. And it can even go down to a couple times a month, right? So 2 times a month to 8 times a month. It really depends on the market that one has, or the email list that one has. And to Craig's point from earlier about the open rates and click rates being a really important metric, which is the initial question to ask, which is a really good question. It's really valuable to monitor how our stats are doing. So when we think about email marketing, when we think about marketing in general for our brands, we always think about how can we measure and then iterate and then test the different marketing channels. And email is very much a part of that.
That's superb. From my perspective, I email once a week, and I get great open rates. But I got put in the doghouse because I resent to non-opens, and I had an 8 to 10%, which is pretty cool. But I got automatically put in the SendFox doghouse for being under 20%. And so I mean, your customer service is great, and they got me back out of the doghouse after 2 months, and I was able to send. So I only send to my full list once a month, and that's very, very cultured and cultivated and reviewed. And then I send to the active subscribers only the other 3 times. I send one every Monday, and I found that works very well. And my active subscribers, my unsubs are almost 0. My the bounce rate is almost 0 on those. So it's all good stuff, and I get good sales. So but when I send to my full list, that's one where I really take a lot of effort to make sure that every sentence, there's no typos, there's nothing to turn a reader off, and they're in their review pane and see enough that they want to open it and continue. Because that's the big challenge, is you got to get them to continue, because I'll have 3 different items on sale or something, and getting them through that. And SendFox has been very easy, and we'll talk about the technical aspects. A lot of people have asked for, hey, can we get templates like they had in MailChimp or something like that? And I'll tell you what, the integration with SendFox and Google Docs is so clean that I just do everything in Google Docs. It's really easy. Why build an editor when one already exists for free relative? Almost everybody has access to Google Docs. So just do it there, and then copy paste. It's clean. All the links work exactly.
Yeah. And I think one of the tricks that, especially Craig, because you've been around for a little bit, one of the tricks that a lot of people don't know. And the reason why we created SendFox was very much because we were sick of using MailChimp. We were sick of using Aweber. Deliverability would just go down the crapper randomly, and we wouldn't know why. And the costs were absurd for what we wanted to get. And there are a lot of people that MailChimp and Aweber, ConvertKit, all those are right for, but for us, it wasn't. And when we created SendFox from that need, we also wanted to build it like we wanted to build it, meaning that we wanted it to do what we were already doing. And I'm so glad that you enjoy the pacing from Google Docs, because a lot of people don't know this, and I'm glad people are watching right now, so I can spill this somewhat secret. But we retain almost 100% of the formatting from Google Docs. So the way we write emails, and the way I encourage people to write emails for themselves, especially if they do it collaboratively with someone else, is create a Google Doc, write the email. Every email we write, we come up with 5 subject lines, and then we, as a kind of committee or a couple people, pick the favorite one. And then we transfer all of that right into SendFox with copy and pasting. And it works really well. So I'm glad you used that. I'm glad you could segue into giving me that opportunity to talk about that Google Docs setup.
Yeah, and I see you pronounced it Aweber. I pronounced it Auber, which I think is much, much cooler. So I think they should take that under advisement and call it Auber.
You should trademark that before they do, Craig.
That. That's like they kind of have the name. I'm kind of busy. I write books. Somebody had noted images. When you put how many images in a newsletter are too many, and what are your recommendations for the right size, quantity, type of images in a newsletter?
Yeah. So images is a really interesting thing with emails, because we've done a lot of different strategies for images or no images. Generally speaking, I would be careful with images. And what I mean by that is, when we write anything in email, we try to be as intentional as possible. And some of the best advice I've ever received in my life, because I used to be a copywriter, was take what you think is good, get it down like as tight as you can, the copy as tight as you can, and then cut another 10 to 20%. And I think that principle is how I would think about images too. So it's like, are the images I'm using very intentional? Do they make sense? Am I overloading with images? Because the thing to be careful about with images, as we think about going back to what I was talking about earlier with the engagement and just kind of creating these emails, meeting people where they are, is that too many images just seems kind of spammy. And it seems very much like a corporate newsletter would send to someone. If we think about how we email friends, like if I'm emailing you, Craig, it's just like we write some text, it's more casual tone, we do some bullet points, but we aren't creating these like hyper image heavy, like salesy sounding emails. And the best emails perform when we think about writing it to a friend or writing it more casually, talking to a human like another human talks to them versus talking to a human like a business talks to them.
That's great advice, David. I really appreciate that, and I hope all of our folks appreciate that. Because as you were talking, I'm like, yeah, I include a picture of the rabbit in my front yard.
Yeah, so good.
I'm the only person people know Alaska, so I leverage that. But I mean, authors, we include the cover. We spend so much money on the covers and try to get them exactly right on our books that we will have, like, here's a cover in this. And you see Free Booksy, BookBub, the major newsletters, the ones who have millions of subscribers, they're always including that cover, but they're doing it in a column format, which we don't have available in SendFox yet.
Yeah.
But that is part of the thing. But we could shrink that down because the best covers are viewable at thumbnail size on a phone.
Yeah.
And what do you see from people who access their email from a phone? Do you know if they're on a mobile device or their computer?
So we know just through some of our internal statistics, using Google Analytics, like a lot of people do, we are able to see that a pretty significant amount of people use their phones. What's interesting is we're actually seeing that decrease now with COVID because so many people are working from home. So they're just on their laptop at their home all day. But historically, we've seen about a 50-50 split as far as mobile goes. And I also like your point, and it's really valuable to mention that spending an appropriate amount of time on a book cover is very much how we think about spending an appropriate amount of time on, let's say, a subject line, or even getting the right image for an email. So we think about how we as humans are so visual and how these first impressions really matter in a lot of ways. And whether it's a book cover, whether it's a subject line, whether it's an email, it's really important to keep that in mind. So I like that book cover analogy. And I read a ton of books, and I notice the same thing with me, even though I like to think that I view books very logically and I'm looking at the back cover and I'm understanding the reviews. A lot of my decision-making is based on the cover.
Sexy covers sell.
That's right.
Yeah. We've had some and a number of people, and I suffered with MailChimp with this, and with SendFox as I add images and book covers. Is there any way we can get organization of the images within SendFox, like folders or something like that, as opposed to just a linear progression of when you last that image?
Yeah, so that's coming. That's definitely coming. And we've heard that for a little bit. It's so funny building a product like this because we're such nerds about it in a good way. Like, I just want to build this tool and do all these things that I've always wanted to do, and do like email marketing how I want to do email marketing, and I was never able to through other tools. And the list of stuff we want to do is so long that we just it's just taking time. So we're getting to a lot of stuff every month, but unfortunately there's never enough time in the day. So image organization, image deletion, I saw a comment about that. That stuff is coming at some point. But I need to be realistic about making sure that we're doing things in the right order.
Well, I bought in the 53,000. I maxed out 53,000 lifetime, which is an incredible deal. But I'm not getting charged each month. And hey, I send as many emails as I want to as many people as I want. And now counting people, it's not an issue now. I have 10,000 people. I got 43,000 to go. Counting subscribers, because we can have separate lists, and then tagging subscribers. If you have one name across 3 lists, is that name counted 3 times, or if somebody unsubscribes? Can you tell us how the counting works in SendFox?
So the counting is just unique. And this was another important thing that we took away from MailChimp, because I don't know if MailChimp still does this, but back in the day, you could have the same person in multiple lists in MailChimp and it would count double or triple or whatever the number. So we just look at uniqueness of the contact. So if you have 10,000 unique contacts, you have 10,000 unique contacts. It doesn't matter if they're in 1 list or 100 lists or 500 lists, whatever it is, we just count it once.
That's great. That's great news. Because
Yeah.
I have a separate audio list, which is just a subset of my main list, and it's nice not to have them counted twice. So good
It's a
deal.
great
Good
idea.
on you guys.
Yeah.
So tagging, I don't think we can tag right now, or can we?
So, it's interesting because we originally built, and for our techie people out there, for our nerdy people out there, they might notice that the URL structure for lists is actually called tags because we started with tags way back in the day, almost 2 years ago. And for the people that were using our tool at that time, it was a little confusing. So our lists in many ways behave like tags. They behave like tags. I do think to that point, Craig, we can do a better job of implementing kind of like a contact tagging structure. And that's also something I've been thinking a lot about. And I have some interesting ideas that I'd love to implement. Just got to take it back to our developers and scope it out and do all that stuff.
That's great. I tell you what, SendFox, because with the incremental improvements over time, because I know when you first advertised through AppSumo, and SendFox is owned by the same folks who own AppSumo, right?
Exactly. Yep, that's a good way to put it because a lot of people say, "Hey, are you part of AppSumo?" And the answer is, we're kind of cousins, but we do have the same parents in a way. So I guess actually siblings is a better terminology. But we are part of Sumo Group, which is
Yeah, you got some strange
AppSumo.
cousins. You got some strange cousins up there in New Hampshire, man.
We do, right? So AppSumo, King Sumo, SendFox, Sumo.com are all part of this one happy,
Okay.
somewhat confusing family.
Okay. But so when that first came out, it's like, okay, this is kind of stripped down, but you were straightforward about that. Hey, we're going to keep building on this, and the fact that I'm glad we were able to get you on the show to talk about that and the growth.
Yeah.
That do you see any end in when you're just going to stop developing SendFox?
The short answer to that question is no. What I think is really exciting for us, and we have a very small team, which is also really fun. So we have myself, we have Garrett, who's a developer, we have Enrique, who's our front end designer, and then we have the support team, who a lot of you have met. We love building this. It's really like, it makes my day to see people like you, Craig, using this as someone who loves to read, and to see all these people I admire that send great emails trying to grow their lists. So our goal, I think, will stop when we take over the world for content creators. So for bloggers, podcasters, YouTubers, authors, when every single one of them are using it, especially the people that we like a lot of you guys tuning in right now, many of you are using it, but some of you aren't yet. Once everyone starts using it, I guess then we'll stop. But I don't know if that'll ever happen. So I guess we'll keep going.
Yeah, and as we've had a few people ask about automation, let me tell you about my automation sequence.
Yeah.
I bring people in through my website. So I advertise on Facebook, direct them to my website to get a free full-length novel, which is a standalone. And then to get it, they have to join my email list. They immediately go into a 5-part onboarding sequence that I have, I think, an 85-95% read through to the end, because I give them away a short story, and each one funnels, and each one is more directive. And by the end, I'm saying, you understand now that, hey, take your free story, but you're going into the main list now, and I sell my books. You've got a bunch of free stuff, but I sell my books. It's the only way I can keep doing this business. And I've got a great read-through rate. But one of the things, a lot of people get very complex with their onboarding sequence. I do not. But if then else statements for an automation sequence, like if somebody has multiple genres, they can cycle them to a different list, or what do they like even something as simple as frequency of emails. Hey, I won't open an email if I get more than one a month. Okay, hey, let me funnel you to a different list. So if then else kind of statements on the automation sequences, is that in the works for anytime soon?
Yeah, it is. It is. So right now, and people can probably see the beginning of the transition to more advanced segmentation. So in between the emails on automations right now, there's a little tag icon, and people can click that icon, and it depends on what someone did in the previous email that they can then take a certain action. So for example, a practical example that you just mentioned is I can click that tag icon. If someone clicked or received or opened the last email, I can then move them into a different segmentation of an automation. So we've started to go down that path to allow a little more advanced options. I would love to hear what people think. And I'll mention this too before I forget. David@sendfox.com is my email address. So hearing, especially from everyone in the chat room, which is really, really exciting, all the people that are using SendFox and the things they want, I love hearing it. I love hearing the feedback directly. Let me know, because it's also cool for me as an email marketer to understand the trends of what people are doing. And also, I do this quite a bit. So if you email me, send me your landing page. My other favorite thing to do is subscribe to a lot of SendFox customers' emails. And I get new ones every day, and it's like Christmas every day. It's so awesome.
A man who loves his email. I don't think you'll get that from our people. They like email, but they don't necessarily like getting emails. But we have in 20 Books to 50K, this is a group started on the business of being an indie, a self-published author. It's a retirement plan. It's if you have 20 books and are earning $7.50 each per book is all every day. At the end of the year, you'll have over $50,000. And in Cabo San Lucas, you can retire comfortably on 35 grand a year. On 3 grand a month, you're comfortable, you're fine, and then you get a little extra cushion to go out to dinner and get some tequila every now and then. So it's a retirement plan, but we have people who make a lot more than that, and we have a lot of people working up to it. And it's not 20 books in a year; it's just you have 20 a set amount a day, which $7.50 is not a lot for each book. It's only like 2 sales.
Yeah.
So so that's the group. It's the business of being an indie, and we talk to a variety of guests about important elements to help us with our business. This is a great thing for you to join us. And like I said, I think we're almost up to 43,000 members of the group. We might only have, right now we have 35 people watching. We'll have a couple thousand viewers over the course of the next week. And then we cut this to YouTube as well. So it'll be there, and that's available for anybody, not just 20 Books to 50K members, because that's one thing we do is we're not for profit. There's no membership fees to be a 20 Books to 50K member. There's just 2 rules: no self promo and don't be a dick. So pretty simple rules. The not for profit status, that part of it is, hey, we'll share with everybody. And that's the cutting these over to YouTube. So your message will get out, and it's a good one. I mean, anybody can improve their email marketing, even if you are just sending to family. You can do it better where you annoy your siblings, or in New Hampshire, when they should be your siblings. But that's I mean, you guys do what you do up there. It's okay.
Yeah, there's truth to that.
What's your tagline? When you go to if you go to a conference and there's a bunch of people who would use email marketing, what's your elevator speech for SendFox?
We can summarize it really in one sentence, and what I would say that sentence is we just want to be the best tool for content creators to grow their audience. So if you're a blogger, if you're a podcaster, if you're a YouTuber, in this case, if you're an author. And one other thing I want to mention, Craig, that I think is really interesting that you said is this vision that we all have of creating sustainable businesses for ourselves, right? And when we think about our email lists and our content creators that are using the tool that are quite large, whether it's an author or someone else, it takes time. And I do want to encourage everyone that's listening to understand that these incremental improvements compound over time, right? So if you're using SendFox or whatever other tool, if you don't want to use SendFox, that's okay too. Whatever email tool you want to use, and you're making sure that you're promoting your landing page, or in SendFox's case, your smart page, in your LinkedIn bio, in your Twitter bio, in your Instagram bio, and wherever, getting even 1 to 2 people a day, to your point, Craig, about the compounding sales of books, you got to start with getting those subscribers first. So 1 to 2 a day, keep doing it, keep going ahead. And that's how we've seen brands grow. It doesn't magically happen overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day and all these cliche sayings, but they're cliche and overused for a reason.
Yeah. Well, and I've added some 1,200 new subscribers over the course of the last month through the Facebook ad campaigns, and this is something that I've really spent a great deal of effort on, and thanks to my executive assistant James Baldwin for setting those up and getting the people and cycling in. Actually, by the time they end my onboarding sequence, I think I'm getting new subscribers at a cost of only 36 cents per new subscriber.
Wow.
So, and that's through the
incredible.
advertising and through everything. And I'm getting like 21 cents a click in Facebook ads to get them over to then download the new book and then stay through the onboarding sequence by the end of the, so 36 cents. So $3 for $1. That's, I was willing to spend up to $1 for a new subscriber.
I love that.
I have over 100 books published. So, so this is a huge success story in how SendFox has helped me get to build.
That makes my day to hear that. That's incredible. And I do like what you're saying in general about email marketing. And I think this is really important to emphasize as well. So the reason why we've historically liked email marketing as content creators to grow our content channels is because with automations and with the smart pages and landing pages and all these things, it just grows on itself. It just grows without effort in a lot of ways. So if you have ads going out, or even if you can't afford ads right now, if you just have it in your social profiles, if you're just sharing it with your friends and then they share it with their friends, and then you have an automation sequence set up that takes 5 minutes to create a very simple automation sequence, you don't have to worry about all this kind of effortful stuff that a lot of marketers try to encourage people to do. Your time, like you said, Craig, is best focused on writing books. So you want your marketing to take care of itself. And that's what email marketing is really, really great for. It takes care of itself so that you can focus on what you want to do and the most important things for you to do and write more books because everyone wants to read your books. So let's get more books, Craig. Let's get to 101.
That's right. Build that foundation and that foundation, which it's really nice as a business to know that when I release a new book, I'm going to get 1,000, 2,000 sales on that first day or some subset thereof. But it's a foundation. I know I'm going to get my money back on my cover and my editing and all the initial marketing, and then it's gravy after day one. That is 100% due to two places. It's an email list, and then second is my Facebook followers on my author page. So I have 5 times as many people actively engaged on my newsletter list as I do on my author page. So it's a multi-pronged effort. But it's not something you want to keep doing day in, day out, trying to get people back in. And we have Carrie has asked a lot of questions, but when she's asked, how can we have somebody who unsubscribed resubscribe? Because I think right now they're blocked from resubscribing.
Yeah, so this is where we get into my least favorite part of email marketing in general, which is like the legal gray areas. And dealing with GDPR and CCPA and everything changing every day. So the short of it is we don't let people resubscribe their unsubscribed by themselves. And the reason we don't do that is other tools will let you do that, but they also have very big legal departments. So if they ever get in trouble, they'll just countersue and all this other stuff. We don't have that. So what we require people to do is just email us. Just let us know, like, hey, these people unsubscribed. Here's their consent to wanting to resubscribe. We do require making sure that they consented to resubscribing. And then our tech team, our back-end team can do that for you. So we'd love to do that, allow you to do that on the front end, but the wonderful legal gods at be do not want us to do that. So we have to do it a different way.
I'll tell you, I'll share with you, I'm a lawyer. So I get you. And the reason I'm wearing this orange sweatshirt is I wear it all the time because it eventually works its way to the top of my chair clothes pile and I put it back on. I retired from that. I retired from being a lawyer and a business consultant. And I'm here in Alaska and I had this big burn pile and I'm like, I can take care of it. Well, I lit myself on fire.
Oh, no.
And it's the sweatshirt. The sweatshirt's cotton, So it literally saved my life when I was trying after I retired. So my retirement could have lasted like 1 week, and I'm rolling on the ground, and it put out pretty good. And my leg, I got second-degree burns on my leg, so I got this really nasty scar on one leg. And I said, well, I need to be inside because I can't trust myself to be outside doing manly stuff. So that's when I started writing, and that was almost exactly 5 years ago. So yeah, this sweatshirt saved my life and got me into writing as opposed to being a lawyer. So I like that, and I understand completely that. Hey, just email the consent, so we have it on. GDPR really put the brakes on randomly getting added to newsletter lists, or even if you want to, they make it really hard because they need that documentation. So there you go, Harry. You have an answer. Just get that consent and then email it to the SendFox technical team. What would that be? Help or admin at SendFox?
Pretty close. If you kept guessing, you would get there. It's just support@sendfox.com. So support@sendfox.com. Exactly.
Yep. Send it there. Here's your list. Please, thank you, and hopefully they don't unsubscribe again, and then you'll have to just terminally say, "Yeah, dude, I'm not going to deal with you anymore. Appreciate you for buying my books, but fuck off." We do have a tendency to use colorful language here on occasion, and some people that happens. So is your home in where'd you say, San Diego County you were from?
Yeah, so I normally live in San Diego, and we have a totally dispersed team at SendFox, which is great because when I'm offline, we have people, whether it's through support or development, we have people always online. And that's great. What you were saying, man. We're just trying to build this tool as fast as we can, as best as we can, and we really love it. So that makes it a lot easier.
I'm happy. I mean, you are stoked with your product. You like SendFox. What else do you market besides just SendFox at this point in time?
So we also have KingSumo.com, and what KingSumo? Oh, there it is. Nice. So very helpful. The people in the chat posting all the links and everything. I say, you guys are incredible. So KingSumo also is very, very helpful for a lot of authors and content creators. And what we noticed about KingSumo is the power of running these giveaways to grow an email list is, well, I guess really powerful. It's a simple way to put that. And when we think about it, and I'll just kind of give this general tip for marketing and how we think about marketing growing lists in general. So the thing to be considerate of, especially if you're a new author and you don't have this huge budget for ads, and even more so during this really, really challenging time for a lot of people who are exploring new career paths or trying to start their side hustle. The reason why we started KingSumo, and this was years ago, is because we saw Facebook ads and we're like, dang, we don't have enough money for Facebook ads. And then we saw like sponsorships and other newsletters, which are also very effective, but we're like, man, we don't have $1,000 to give this company to put our logo in their emails. And we started going down the list of marketing channels, and we're like, none of these are affordable for us. So we built KingSumo, and just like I said with SendFox, you guys don't have to use SendFox or KingSumo. I'll speak more generally to the channel, although I would love it if you did. But generally, viral giveaways allow people to have a very simple thing to give away, to share it, and get a lot of leads coming in for a very inexpensive cost. So we have a lot of people that use KingSumo and they launch a giveaway and then they share that giveaway with friends or on social media or wherever it is. And then they get those people going into their SendFox list. And it's a really quick, easy way to start growing one's email list.
I was digging around and I found a 2,000 piece Lego Millennium Falcon. I'm like, I write science fiction. Here's the thing: I mistakenly bought it for my wife for Christmas, and she was not amused. And so I had this unopened, and it was covered in dust. And I'm like, hey, is it okay if I give this away? She's like, yeah, I'm not going to put it together. So I did a KingSumo giveaway, and I added. I had only 200 overlap and 650 new emails on people because I'm like, hey, if you like a Lego, here's me. I write sci-fi. I'm thinking you like sci-fi if you're going to make a Millennium Falcon. So And that unsubscribe rate was not obscene. So those were good adds to the list as well. So
I love
the King
that.
Sumo, and I did the app Sumo. I bought it for like $50 for lifetime of King Sumo giveaways, I like that process. Recurring costs kind of suck, so I like the one-time cost kind of structure that SendFox has. And you're the only ones that I've seen that had that.
Yeah, and we very much thought that too, with both the recurring costs being annoying to us. So we wanted to create something that was simple. And there is one other thing I'll add for giveaways, and this can apply whether to King Sumo or just generally if someone wants to run a giveaway. So one thing we're noticing that works really well is, let's say you're at the point of your business where not only do you not have the money to spend on marketing channels right now, but you're thinking of running a King Sumo giveaway, and you're like, man, I don't even have money right now to buy a prize to give away. And we've all been there, so there's no shame in that. But what we are noticing works actually really well, and a lot of people won't do this because it's a little scary, but it is extremely effective, is emailing 3 to 5 of your favorite, whether it's authors or brands or people you admire, and saying, hey, I'm running a giveaway. Can I just get one of your things to give away? And I'll link you on the giveaway page. I'll promote you in my email launching the giveaway. I'll promote you in my email follow up after the giveaway. So they're getting free links to their content in exchange for giving away just one of their products. So I would encourage people to think, and the terminology we use for that are partner giveaways. I would encourage people to think of, how can I leverage during this extremely difficult time, if I don't have the funds available, how can I leverage partners that I admire, people that I know, to give me a product in exchange for promotion, so it's a win for them as well.
I like that. And that's an awful lot of that in 20 books, because we're all indies. I mean, there's quite a few big names, but still we all started at the ground level. Me, I started on fire. So, I mean, it's hard to beat that when it comes to being hot right out of the gate.
Right.
But it took me a year before I actually started making real money at this gig. But everybody starts there and has to build their way up. And we provide a lot of tools and help and support for folks to how to build a newsletter, how to build, what's your back matter look like in your books that gets people to that newsletter funnel in order to then become a subscriber on your list and then stay there and be an active subscriber. So I don't think I have any questions, and it's been almost an hour. The question: do you have any videos that show how King Sumo giveaways work?
Nice. Yeah. So let's answer this one, and then I want to just speak to the comment right before that about giving away the indies, which I love, and I just want to add a little more color to that. So Elaine, to your question, do you have any videos that show how King Sumo giveaway work? So we have blog.kingsumo.com, which has a lot of case studies. And then on the AppSumo blog, which I believe is blog.appsumo.com, there was a recent post on how King Sumo helped AppSumo grow. And you can also search YouTube for our founder, Noah Kagan, having recorded a video about King Sumo as well. If you just search for how to set up a giveaway using King Sumo, Noah Kagan, or some variation of those words, that's one way to do it. And then to the Facebook user before there, I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but you mentioned indies in the genre to giveaway book stack. Love hearing that. Thank you so much for doing that. That's awesome. And congratulations for doing that. And I think this is a perfect example of finding people that can help you run a giveaway. So this person got a bunch of other indies to help them. And that's the way it should be. It's like I don't like all these giant businesses. I just don't care and want to help them as much. Who I want to help win are the underdogs, because we've been underdogs. We're underdogs in the email marketing industry compared to these behemoths. So seeing you guys just like dominate and become the winners as the underdog makes my day. So thanks so much for sharing that.
I just want to say David was clean shaven and bald before COVID started, and I had David Hasselhoff hair, and now look at me. So there's two different approaches. David living the California lifestyle and growing it out, and me living the Alaska lifestyle where minimalism is important. And 6 months supply of toilet paper is a given. So that never affected us up here at all because we all have supplies.
There's a lot of truth to that.
Well, thanks for coming on, David. I appreciate your insight because there's not COVID. There's a lot of background stuff that we don't understand or get. I mean, we do understand, hey, you have to have a great subject line. You have to have a good email. You can't always be saying, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. It doesn't, that's not the best approach to working with your people. Any final hints on a great email before we close out for the day?
Oh, I would love to share this. So a few principles to a great email. And I like that I'm in a group of a bunch of authors because you guys know how to write better than a lot of the people I talk to, who it's truly amazing what I have to explain to them. So a few things to keep in mind with writing emails. Oh, look at that. So Smart Passive Income. Yes, that's a podcast that Noah did on how to run a giveaway. So that's great. So the principles on email marketing, I'll give you 3 things to keep in mind. First thing to keep in mind, create a smart page or a landing page and put that everywhere. Put that everywhere. Put it in your Twitter bio, put it on your Facebook bio, post it on Facebook, put it on your LinkedIn, put it in your email signature. All of these places combine to start getting you more leads. So you can start with literal 0. And by putting it in a lot of these places like your social media profiles, you'll get people coming to your landing page or your smart page and you'll get people coming in. So that's how to think of how to start. Now, the second thing to think about with email marketing, I think the second tip I have when writing emails is think about talking to a friend. Think about using simple words. Think about how can I separate from the noise of this person I'm emailing, probably receiving 100 other emails today. How can I add value in a way that is unique to me and really gets them to open? And what I think is also important nuance to mention in that is a lot of people think of email marketing. They're like, oh man, okay, so I hear you say that. I need to really think about my emails and I need to create this epic email that is just like the best thing I've ever written. And it's probably what a lot of authors experience with like the blank page syndrome. And what I have to say to that is we've done at times when we have nothing else to write, we'll find content that we're really enjoying. So we'll find blog posts, we'll find YouTube videos, we'll find podcasts, and we'll say, hey, here's just what I've been listening to recently, and here's why I like these things. Here's how I think these things can help you. So we don't even come up with our own content in some cases. We just say, I have no idea what to send. I can't think of anything to send on my own. Let me collect what I've been enjoying recently and share it with my audience because my audience will probably enjoy it too. And then the third thing to monitor with just like email marketing in general is, and this bears repeating, and this will sound familiar from what I said 15 minutes ago, is it does take time, right? It takes time. So setting really realistic goals, right? I want 100 subscribers by the end of the year and understanding that I get a few subscribers every day. And then maybe in a couple days, I get 0 subscribers because life isn't just like a linear upwards trajectory as much as all of us would like to think that. You know, we've seen a lot of struggles recently, and I think that's very appropriate for how we can think about marketing as well. So hang in there. There's a lot of people on this call, very, very smart. You guys are going to be successful. Just remember, it's a matter of time and consistency, and that's how we've built our brands, and that's how we're going to keep building SendFox to be better for you guys. So hopefully, like you guys want to take over the world with your books, we'll be taking over the world, helping you share your books with people.
That's great. I appreciate it, David. I'm glad you could come on. I mean, you have been exceptional in the sharing of knowledge that transcends just your company, just SendFox. I know I'm an avid SendFox user. I love the Google Docs interface, and I'll keep using it. I'll up my game when it comes to subject lines and the textual engagement right at the start. So when people see that in their preview panel, they only see a little bit. It's the right little bit to get them to click more. And
Yeah.
then, work on those surveys, embed surveys, so we can improve our engagement even more by getting people to interact with our emails more
I love
on
it.
than rather clicking to buy something. So
Yeah, that
thank
sounds
you very
good.
much. You have a great day. And once again, thank you very much for coming on. You have been a great guest. And for everybody else, tomorrow is Saturday. I'm not sure if Michael and I will return tomorrow, but I'll get a hold of him today and see if we have a show tomorrow. Otherwise, it'll be next week. All right, everybody, you have a great day. Thank you very much, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Thank you so much. Great talking to you, Craig, and thanks to everyone for tuning in.